Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Protoss, where we find ourselves on Berlingrad and spawning right here in the top left-hand corner of the map, playing with the beautiful orange Terran SCVs, not a color we really see all too often. He's not, however, representing the Netherlands. I know, he's from China, and he goes by the name of Time. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Protoss pieces from South Korea, one of the best Protoss players in the world, and his name is Trap. Alrighty, so Time versus Trap on Berlingrad. Now, I haven't seen this game, but I noticed that the replay timer of this particular TVP is very long, which is kind of funny, because first off, Berlingrad is usually the map where players get more aggressive, just because, well, the rush distance from base to base is pretty quick. So if you want to go for a strict timing attack, which is the case in most Terran versus Protosses, yeah, you'll be able to hit your opponent in the face just a couple seconds faster than you would on, like, for example, a Glittering Ashes. So usually the games tend to end a little bit sooner because of that on Berlingrad. But secondly, Time always, I don't know, I've seen many of Time's games over the years, not a whole lot recently, so maybe he's changed his ways, but he's always, yeah, been pretty aggressive. So if he gets a bunch of units out, he'll likely send them towards the other side of the map and try to win the game with them. The same, I guess, can be said for Trap. Yeah. Trap can do a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything, all of the time. I was actually watching the outtakes for Insight. The Bo Burnham show. He's got a song called, what is it called? Welcome to the Internet? I think so. Anyways, pretty good song. I've been listening to that one on repeat over the last couple of days once again. I did so when the show first released, and apparently recently it's once again been this song stuck in my head. I actually believe that I have a song stuck in my head basically all of the time. A little bit of everything. Oh, anyway, it just like gets replaced by other songs from time to time. Does that make any sense? It's just a theory I have. I don't know if it's true, but I feel like for the longest time, the Wellerman was stuck in my head. I feel like over the last half year, the Wellerman has been stuck in my head for like the last... Anyways, what I'm trying to get at is that Trap's playstyle is very varied. I don't know how I got there, but that's what I was trying to say earlier anyways. Trap can do he can do a little bit of everything all of the time. He can do a little bit of everything, but he's definitely not afraid to go for, like, for example, a blink attack, right? And TVP has a tendency to end early because of all of those, well, very strict attacks, but apparently this one doesn't. So we're gonna find out together exactly what went down between these two. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea. Sorry. We've got ourselves the Twilight Council right over here. Two Adepts are gonna get their way, or gonna make their way across the map. Bunker at this point is obviously done. A Reaper did decide to sneak away. Since there's an orbital morphing on the low ground, I don't think there's really gonna be a whole lot of damage that the Protoss player can do. There's a Hellion available too. Dance! They all want to dance. The Hellion outranges the Adepts, but the Adepts obviously have shields, so they'll be able to regenerate those pretty easily. Time apparently didn't want to take any damage right there on his units whatsoever. At this point, Time also doesn't know what his opponent is up to. He's just seen the timing right there of an additional gateway. Maybe that alone will already give him the information that he needs, but at this point, you never know if it's like an oracle or something along those lines, right? Like, it's kind of tricky to figure out exactly what the Protoss build order of choice is going to be. Alright. And he's not going to find out either. Then again, there are Widow Mines out. Oh, there they are. I thought they were hidden in the mineral line right over there somewhere. Maybe at this point, I guess it makes sense to go for a move out with those Widow Mines, because if it would have been an oracle, it would have already shown up. 6 Marines are not going to be great, though, against 1 Oracle, so you always take a little bit of a chance, but Time should be more than okay. Blink Stalker is indeed going to be the name of the game right here for Trap. The problem is, Blink Stalker, they're going to be fantastic against those Widow Mine drops. Yeah, at this point, I don't know. Did he see that? I don't think so. Maybe he did. Yeah, I think Trap is just waiting for it. He knows that there's a good chance that a Widow Mine drop is going to be the play. But since right now Time knows he's been spotted, he decides to back off. No chances are taken this game so far. Both players just trying to play pretty safe and good against everything. Now, once again, this always feels like a bit of an anti-timing too. Trap is like, great, I've deflected the Widow Mine drop. So time could actually go in right now if he knew. Obviously, he doesn't know that the Stalkers have left. Not a whole lot of vision available right now for our Terran player. He's gonna have units at home. As soon as he sees the blink up into the main base, though, there we go. He should be able to go in right here with the drop. If he's got the macro and micro to go ahead and do so. Hello. No? Alright. Yeah, usually this would be a good moment to go ahead and do so. Just because you know your opponent, well, has sent all of his units towards the other side of the map. Yeah, maybe time has changed his ways a little bit. Maybe he's just not playing as aggressively as he used to once upon a time. I mean, you can kind of just leave that medevac over there too, right? It's not like you really need those units at home again. Yeah, if you wanted to go for a drop, could have easily done so. There's already a couple new Stalkers waiting right now, though, so maybe not as effective anymore right now, but you can always have it hanging there, and at some point, you'll probably be able to go in for a drop when your opponent doesn't expect it. I guess, like, after all these years of StarCraft 2, playing the most pristine and most optimized builds may actually not be efficient, just because your opponent is going to be very practiced against those very sharp timing attacks, too, so maybe it actually makes sense to hit a little bit later, and that's really a development we've seen over the last, I want to say 2 years or so of top-level StarCraft, where the guys are purposefully playing builds that are inferior, just because they know that it's got a bigger chance of catching the opponent off guard. It'll probably catch me off guard too, because at some point this medevac is going to go in. And it'll probably be a point at which I'm not paying attention either. Anyhow. Storm is going to be the transition right now from Trap, unsurprisingly. He'll have charge done soon as well, and that's going to give him a nice little gateway-focused mid-game, although the Robo facility is starting to produce some units too. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Time is happily building up his infrastructure over here too. Now with some additional reactors finishing up, he's really going to be able to start pumping out a ton of units at once. Third command center is, of course, just about to finish up too, so yeah, he's going to be fine economically. Usually this is the point in the game where Trap is, well, Protoss in general, is going to be a little bit ahead of the Terran player when it comes to the worker count. But obviously the mules can make up for that difference. And yeah, because of the way that shield batteries and all that work out, it's very hard for the Terran player to actually be able to punish this. As soon as a battery overcharge is available over here, it's extremely difficult to actually deal any damage to the Protoss' third, especially when they have Blink Stalker. So, oh, well, here it goes. I scouted it. I saw it. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, you see what I mean? Like, if he would have gone for the most optimal timing of that Widowmine drop, I think Trap would have probably held it. And now he just went in for very random timing. It's almost like he forgot about it. I don't know. I'd like to make the assumption, as a caster, I'm going to make the assumption he didn't forget about the Widowmine and, you know, the medevacs and all that, and he just intended on that happening. But, yeah, there's definitely a chance he kind of forgot about it, and he's like, oh, I still have that. I guess I'll fly it in, see if I can deal any damage. All right. Anyways, Trap coming in from the site. He's got an observer over here, so he sees exactly where that Terran army is currently located. He shows his storm right away, activating his own trap card. Zealot drop in the main base, trying to be annoying. Vikings, though, are going to be able to chase down that Prism. 4 SCVs, not going to be... I guess it's fine as long as you get the Prism out of there, but obviously that's a little bit of energy gone as well. Both players just sort of tiptoeing around each other, man. They don't want to wake the opponent up. It's like 2 in the morning. Both of them came home drunk at around the same time. And apparently they didn't realize that the other opponent was still awake too, or the other guy was still awake too, so they're deciding to be as quiet as they possibly can be. Every once in a while, we have one guy stumbling down the stairs and doing a terrible job staying quiet, but for the most part, yeah. Both guys are more than happy to fight, but they're also like, no, let's not. Couple of feedbacks right there on ghosts. Not something that we see all too often. Anyways, now that the ghosts are out, though, Trap realizes that High Templar are probably not going to be as good anymore, so he decides to go for some more reliable splash damage in the form of those Colossi. 2 of them are just about to pop. Time, though, already realizes that that is likely going to be the transition from his opponent, so he's adding on additional Vikings. Always good to have at least a couple Vikings in the mix. He doesn't really know exactly what his opponent is going for right now, but Disruptors or, Colossi are the most likely option. There's the extended thermal lens too, so... Trap is mostly just gonna, walk around on the map, but I don't think he's gonna commit until he's got all of this done. Second Forge is coming up too. He's got the 4th Nexus at this point finished at the 6 o'clock position. And I guess that time is going to start up his own 4th base. Or land his very first, or his very first 4th base. Anyways, his very 4th base. There you go. He's going to land that one very soon as well. Probably not at the 12 o'clock position, but probably over here instead. Alright. The skyscrapers get spotted with an orbital scan. Trap did go for a proxy gateway as well in the top right-hand corner, just as a way of reinforcing these armies and setting up zealot run-bys and all that. But for the most part, 10 minutes have gone by. Both players have tested the waters. They've checked if the opponent is bad. And it turns out no one was bad, so now we're playing the long game. Alright, already going into +1 flyer attacks. Time that is. Interesting. Seems a little early. Obviously, late game TVP, late game StarCraft 2 in general, is usually all about flying units. We're not quite there yet, but those upgrades can take forever. No chrono boost available for time. So, you know, starting them up nice and early, I guess when you have this many Vikings in the mix, you may as well. Actually makes a lot of sense. Even if it's only, well, 4 Colossi right now. Still going to be useful. Not a wasted set of resources, that's for sure. Yeah, Protoss in the meantime is going to still get a couple of those additional Robo Bay upgrades. So I always get these two confused, but one of them is Gravitic Drive. One of these is so basically you have an Observer speed and then a Warp Prism speed improvement. It's these twos, man. Like, for some reason, they made the icons very... I guess they're not very similar. But at least to my eyes, they always look identical. Anyways, I believe that's the Warp Prism one and that's the Observer one. I guess it kind of looks like a prism and kind of like an Observer. In the meantime, though, there was a little bit of a drop inside of the main base. Screw that refinery in particular. Just kidding. SCV. Just nipped in the butt for a little bit until the Marauders eventually cleared all of it out. Alright. Yeah, Trap's still opting to go for a whole lot of ground units. Additional barracks are coming up right now for time as well. His 5th command center is now building. They don't really have the economy yet to go for a full-on Sky Toss and Sky Terran transition. I do like those games, though. Where that does happen. Alright. We're now at the point where Zealot run-bys are no longer cool. Don't tell the Zealots, they'll get very angry. But now we have guys that are invisible. Their DPS is quite a bit higher as well. They're also significantly more expensive. But Dark Templar, of course, have a nice... well, nice little bonus. Huge EMPs right here on this army. Not a whole lot of Trap can do at this point. Time is not going to try and capitalize either. Honestly, Time, maybe he's just been taking a page out of the book of Mr. Maru, where he's just turtling up, man. Yeah, interesting. It's been, I think, about maybe 2 months or so since I've previously seen a Time game, so maybe he's felt inspired. Anyways, there's the Fusion Core coming up, additional Stargates. Right now for the Protoss player, too. They're just gonna, yeah, macro their way out of this. I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Probably wasn't important. Anyhow, Protoss starting to take all the bases on the map. So this is Trap kind of taking a page out of the book of the Zerg. I don't think Zerg can read, so maybe they don't have a book, but those ghosts are awfully far forward. I guess they're in the wrong control group right here. Good storms going down, though. Good purification novas as well. Time loses a huge chunk of his army there. Still plenty of stalkers available. Honestly, yeah, I think you can just turn around and fight because all of those bio units are in red hit points. +1 flyer coming up here for Trap. Oh, I was saying something about Dark Templar, I think. Oh yeah, the nice addition of the Dark Templar is that you can just go in, kill a planetary, and then get out, right? Like, Zealots have a very hard time doing that, especially when SCVs are trying to repair. But Dark Templar run in, kill everything, and then usually retreat as well with their upgrade. With their Shadow Strike. Okay, so there's the Tempest transition from Trap. Tempests are pretty good. Yeah. I don't know, Tempests are a bit of an awkward unit. They can be really good. The problem is when the opponent is already making Vikings to counter your Colossi, they're gonna probably go into Liberators then, right? And maybe even eventually Battlecruisers and all that, but they're already gonna be massing a bunch of Vikings, and Tempests take about 7.5 years to produce, so by the time you have a decent amount of Tempests, Like, you're kind of committing to like 5 minutes of Tempest production. By the time that you have a decent amount of Tempest to one-shot things, Terran's gonna have like 5 dozen... Okay, that's at least what it feels like. They're gonna have a lot of Vikings available. Anyways, Trap is just expanding all over the map. So this is that playstyle that Terran's been developing, that I think Maru has been focusing on over the last, I want to say 4 months or so. Where basically they just sit back and they don't care about what the opponent is doing. I'm not a big fan of this playstyle as far as strategy goes, just because it's extremely passive, and as you guys probably know by now, passive games of StarCraft 2, not necessarily my favorite. It's fun to see from time to time. Haha! Pun not intended, but there you go. It's fun to see every once in a while. There it is, a little bit better. It's fun to see sometimes, but if this is like the standard Terran game that we're gonna see for the foreseeable future, it's just a little bit boring, right? Like, you can only cast so many of these games before you are waiting for the action to happen. So the problem with this style, at least in my mind, is that Terrans don't care about what else is going on the map. Now, theoretically speaking, this should be a really good advantage for Trap, right? Because while Terran's focused right now on mining 5 bases out, that's exactly what Trap has taken on his side of the map as well, plus 2 more. And I don't think that time is really going to do much either. He's maxed out right now, but he's still not ready to go for an attack. He's getting the building armor and the high-sec auto-tracking and the +3 flyer attacks and all that. He's just kind of sitting there, even overlapping some of his sensor towers. Maybe not ideal. Anyhow, it's up to Trap to try and break this if he wants to, but honestly, he really doesn't necessarily need to. One of the best things that Trap can do right now is just take one of the bases that's normally considered the Terran and just mine that out. Force the Terran to come towards you. Because fighting with all of those missile turrets and the Widow Mines and the Liberators sieged up and the planetary fortresses, right? Like, there's even a planetary in the choke over there. It's very hard to get much done. Now, one thing you can do is try and threaten to move in with your main army and then get the Dank Templar into these bases. Okay, well, this is... We're gonna go after supply depots? Really? That's the goal? Anyhow, this is gonna do a lot of damage. Yeah, EMP or not. Doesn't matter if you reveal those units. Okay, can we blink? Okay, we blinked into the barracks. Maybe not ideal. I really hope, though, that over the next few months, we'll see a lot of Protosses and Zergs punish this sort of playstyle where the guy is sitting back doing nothing, trying to build a death ball. Just because... I guess he's not doing nothing, right? Just because it's... I think, at least theoretically, not the strongest strategy you can play. But it seems to be awfully efficient, that's for sure. Alright. 3 heroes with capes hanging out in the corner. And this is apparently the moment, okay, where Trap is starting to do the thing that we've seen every once in a while, where he is headbutting with whatever he can, trying to do a bit of damage here and there, but now he's starting up his own static defense train in the middle of the map. So he's got places to warp in from, but also to repair shields with right here, and a bunch of photon cannons, just to try to be as annoying as possible. Time slowly taking over the top right-hand corner, though. I think this is honestly the moment where Trap should have tried to strike. Maybe set up some of the static defense over here instead. Obviously, I'm just theory crafting, but I feel like it would be a good moment, so... 5 minutes of Tempest production have come down to this. Alright. I think 4 or so of them just got picked off. 3 or 4? 3. That's a bit awkward. So even time right now is like, okay, Tempest? Lol. I'll just make more Liberators instead. Yeah, there have been several moments in StarCraft history where this, like, passive style has been a popular thing. We've seen it several times well, with the Zerg, with Broodlord and Fester, one of the absolute worst unit compositions in StarCraft. Worst because it was incredibly overpowered. We've obviously seen it with Skytos, where Skytos is sitting back and they're not really attacking until they're maxed out. And right now we're kind of seeing that with Terran too, where... Yeah, they're just... it's not really like one... This is very complex to play, by the way. I don't want to, like, belittle what Mr. Time is doing here. It's just very strong once you do get there. So he's trying to build up his ultimate unit comp. And apparently that involves ghosts, and then as well, a whole lot of flyers. If you do want to go for any sort of carrier production, I guess right now would be the time. Carriers take a long time to produce as well, and obviously their interceptor ships are pretty expensive. I mean, they're only 15 minerals each. They're really not that expensive, but... Ooh. The shadow of the nuke right there flew over the screen. Don't oftentimes catch that one, but I guess it's going in this direction. Anyhow, it's got to be able to get rid of some of that static defense. Yeah, he's just got to double down on Tempest. So how are you going to break this, right? Like, you're not really going to be able to get through that very easily. Zealot run-bys. Can't really pull much off. I think the main reason, by the way, why all of those strategies have been so strong historically in StarCraft 2 is because of the strength of static defense, right? So like the missile turret, the spore crawler in particular too, photon cannon, shield batteries, all of those things, very, very strong. Okay, nice storm over there, I guess, softening up some of the Liberators, but well, the High Templar ended up going down there too. Okay. This is finally a big fight, though. Trap, apparently, yeah, up with his back against the wall right now. Time is coming in, and he got those Liberators in a phenomenal position. Since they have their advanced ballistics, they have some additional range, and at that point, yeah, Trap is just forced out of his own base. In the meantime, though, the Dark Templar squad is moving in, trying to snipe some of the structures here in the middle of the map. Middle of the Terran side of the map anyways. Okay, blink forward right there, trying to take down that planetary fortress before all of the SCVs can repair it, and it does go down. So in the in the end, it's a base for a base right there. The Dark Templar in the main, by the way. You forgot about them for a little bit. But they're once again back in action. Yeah. I mean, you can try, Mr. Ghost, but even if you EMP them, they still deal a lot of damage. Okay, he's gonna try and go in for another planetary. Actually, aggressive blink forward over here. Rolling the Disruptor Ball right there through that, that Protoss army. Okay, looks like the CC will live for now, but this is... Despite the fact that Time still has a really big bank, this is not looking all too hot for him. Like, he doesn't seem to have descending force. He really needs to make more production. Yeah, now he adds on additional barracks. I think this honestly was the moment to go for that that battlecruiser switch, right? But I guess he's a little bit concerned as well that there's just gonna be too much Protoss out there. He's got very good upgrades. Honestly, this would be the moment. I guess if the opponent though is going mass Tempest, it's hard to catch up. While Tempests take forever to produce. Battlecruisers take even longer than forever. Yeah, I guess making battlecruisers into someone who's already chrono boosting out Tempest is not ideal, but there's only actually 3 of them available right now. The Tempests really haven't been that good. Nah. Instead, we're gonna go for 6 Liberators at once. Trap trying to take, trying to take one of the bases rather that is normally Times. Slowly moving forward. Trying to dismantle as much as possible, but here come the Dark Templar once again, and at this point the Dark Templar crowd is huge. 17 Dark Templar. It's really eating into the supply count that the Protoss player can actually use for his main army, but I think this main army is just to try and slow down the Terran player. So he's just dealing so much damage with these backstabs. Since Terran has most of his army on the other side of the map, honestly the Dark Templar are the ones that are keeping this Terran player pinned back. If you look right now at the income, Terran is barely getting any of it. The economy here of the Terran player is absolutely demolished, and Protoss still has a huge bank. Now, he does need to start getting some additional units in, though. Trap, that is. Alright, we're just gonna... Ooh, really? We're gonna just warp in gateway units? Alright. Dark Templar trying to see if they can come in from the surround as well. Alright, well, you know what? That is a ton of damage being done just now. The Dark Templar, honestly, are the MVPs. Yeah, the High Templar, they've been nice and all, but they just absolutely get murdered every time they get even remotely close to one of those Liberator zones. Sometimes they get a storm off, but... This nice little wall in the middle of the map, though, providing a safe haven every time. Here to go to Dark Templar. This time around, I think it is going to be a one-way trip. They could always be recalled and out of there, I suppose, but... Alright. This time around, they're just tracing the entire Terran army towards the main base. That now allows the Protoss main force to get into a much better position. Liberators are sieging up. And despite the fact that Time managed to get to his ultimate unit composition, and despite the fact that Time ended up, well, turtling very successfully, I feel like he's getting dismantled here over the course of about 25 minutes by Trap. Still though, these fights are not really looking too hot here for the Protoss player, but he's got that economy, right? If you look right now at the resources lost, gas especially is the main limitation here. Protoss losing a little bit more as far as that goes, but those fights, they're not actually that bad. He's just mining way more. Like the fact that he's got the top right and now he's retaken the bottom left as well. He's just mined more stuff than his opponent. He's still got a good bank as well. If only he would actually spend it. Okay, Stalkers. Ooh, gotta be so careful, man. Sometimes it's easy to look at the Liberator count and think, oh yeah, there's gonna be like 4 Liberators. And then it turns out there's like 7. You don't really pay very close attention. Some of the circles are overlapped and your entire Protoss ground army disappears. Okay. Good move right here, though, from Time. Starting to take care of some of those bases. The problem is that Trap has bases to spare. He doesn't have that much money. I wouldn't mind seeing him taking, for example, this base on the left side of the map, too. But once more, rather than trying to actually engage the main Terran army, Trap is going in for the counterattack. So, once again, Dark Templar making a beeline straight towards the natural expansion and then also the main base of the Terran. And I actually really like that strat. So, this Terran army, it's not very fast. It is strong, but only when it's already in position. So, as long as you can just buy time for run-bys to happen, eventually, like, this is not a Terran army that can just go into your natural expo and siege up, right? Like, you have to slowly, methodically move on over there. And I really like what Trap is doing, like, creating little traps over here in the middle of the map, right? Living up to his nickname. But creating traps in the middle of the map that slow down the Terran player, and then counterattacking every time he gets the opportunity to. Even though he knows he's not going to be able to win the main fight very easily as long as the Terran player is stepping out of those disruptors. Even though the Tempests haven't been very useful, they have bought a lot of time. My god, the amount of puns in this I'm sorry, guys. It's not I'm not even doing it on purpose. Anyhow, bottom left-hand corner gets spotted right now. Trap must realize that Time is completely broke. Doesn't want to take any chances, though. Decides to now take a Nexus as well in the top right-hand corner. Taking one right over here, too. Whatever army Time is left over is moving on over towards what seems to be the bottom left. At the same time, though, there's one refinery here. Spots that there's a new Nexus acquired up north. So, honestly, losing this base wouldn't be the end of it, but seeing that the army got recalled towards the bottom left-hand corner makes Time realize that there's no way he's going to be able to face off against that in a direct fight, and he decides to tap out.